The summer heat in Willow Creek, North Carolina, clung to everything like a damp blanket, the kind that made your shirt stick to your back and your patience were thin. Under the sprawling oaks and maples, the neighborhood looked like a postcard neat lawns, tidy fences, kids' bikes leaning against garages. But beneath the surface, there was a hum of tension, like a wire pulled too tight. Most of it came from the Homeowners Association, or more specifically, from Margaret Hensley, the iron-fisted queen of the grounds committee who treated the community like her personal kingdom. For Tom Reynolds, a captain in the county sheriff's internal affairs unit, and his wife, Emily, who was 7 months pregnant with their first kid, their new house on Cedar Lane was supposed to be a fresh start. Tom spent his days untangling messes cops who bent the rules, sheriffs who thought they were above the law. It was gritty work that demanded a cool head, and he was good at it. Emily, on the other hand, was all about nesting, turning their house into a cozy haven for the baby. She'd spend hours folding tiny onesies, humming softly, dreaming of the family they were building. They both craved peace, a quiet corner of the world to call their own. But peace, it turned out, was hard to come by in Willow Creek. Margaret Hensley wasn't just strict, she was a force of nature, patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard and a scowl that could curdle milk. To her, the community garden, the pool, the recycling bins weren't for everyone to enjoy. They were hers to control. A hose left out, a car parked an inch over the line, kids laughing too loud near the quiet zone. You get a tongue lashing from Margaret, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Newcomers like Tom and Emily were especially suspect, and she had a knack for making you feel like you didn't belong. One muggy Tuesday morning, with the air so thick it felt like breathing soup, Emily decided to tackle the recycling. She was moving slower these days, her belly round and heavy, but she was stubborn. She gathered the flattened cardboard and rinsed out yogurt containers, stuffing them into a tote bag. With one hand on her stomach, she shuffled toward the communal bins at the back of the community lot, right next to a grim, windowless shed where the HOA kept mowers and tools. The heat was brutal, but Emily focused on sorting cardboard here, plastic there, glass in the third bin. She didn't hear Margaret until the woman was practically on top of her. "Excuse me." Margaret's voice sliced through the quiet, shrill and accusing. Emily jumped, a plastic bottle slipping from her hand. Margaret stood there, arms crossed, her face a mask of disapproval. "This recycling area is for residents in good standing only. We've had outsiders dumping their trash here, and I won't stand for it." Emily blinked, caught off guard. She forced a smile, though the heat was making her dizzy. "Oh, good morning. I live on Cedar Lane, number 12. We moved in a few months ago. I'm Emily Reynolds." She stuck out her hand, trying to be friendly. Margaret didn't budge. Her eyes, cold and gray, raked over Emily's pregnant belly like she was sizing up a criminal. "Reynolds," she said, dragging the name out like it tasted bad. "I don't recall that name on the approved list for facility access. You don't look familiar, and frankly, we get all sorts trying to sneak in and use our SARE VYCES without paying their dues." The words hit like a slap. Emily's smile faded, a spark of anger mixing with unease. "I assure you, Ms. Hensley, we're residents. My husband, Tom, works for the sheriff's department. You can check with the HOA office if you're worried." She pointed toward the clubhouse in the distance, her voice steady but tight. "I don't need to check with anyone," Margaret snapped, stepping closer, so close Emily could smell her floral perfume. The shed door behind Emily was cracked open, probably left that way by a groundskeeper. "I'm the grounds committee chair. I know who belongs here. People like you think you can waltz in, ignore the rules, and leech off hard-working residents. It's an outrage." Before Emily could respond, Margaret lunged. It wasn't a nudge, it was a full-on shove, aimed at Emily's chest. Emily, already unsteady, stumbled backward, her feet catching on the shed's threshold. She fell hard, landing inside the dim, musty shed among bags of fertilizer and rusty shovels. The smell of gasoline hit her like a wave. Before she could scream, Margaret slammed the door shut with a bone-rattling thud. The metallic scrape of a padlock followed, then a sharp click. "That'll teach you to trespass." Margaret's voice, muffled but venomous, came through the wood. Maybe next time you'll think twice about freeloading. Consider this as sending a lesson in respecting the rules. Darkness swallowed Emily. The shed was a sauna, the air thick with fumes and mildew. Panic clawed at her chest as she scrambled to her feet, pounding on the door. "Let me out. I live here." Her fists barely made a sound against the thick wood. Her heart raced, and she fumbled for her phone, hands shaking. One flickering bar of signal. She dialed Tom, misdialing twice before the call went through. Tom was in a meeting, reviewing a use of force case, his phone on silent except for Emily's calls. When her name flashed on the screen, his gut twisted. She never called during work unless it was serious. He stepped into the hallway, answering softly. "Ing? You okay?" "Tom, help." Her voice was thin, laced with terror. "Margaret Hensley, she pushed me, locked me in the shed by the bins. It's padlocked. It's so hot, Tom." The baby, her voice broke, a sharp gasp cutting through. "Pain. Really bad pain." The line crackled, then died. Tom's world tilted. The calm he'd honed over years of investigation shattered, replaced by raw fear. He sprinted for the elevators, barking into his radio. "Dispatch. This is Captain Reynolds, Internal Affairs. Critical incident. I need units to Willow Creek, Oak Knoll and Ridgetop Lane, recycling area. Possible felony kidnapping. Victims my wife, pregnant, locked in the maintenance shed by Margaret Hensley, HOA chair. She's in medical distress. I'm en route. ETA 6 minutes." He tore through traffic, sirens screaming, his mind a blur of tactics and dread. He knew Margaret by reputation, petty, power-hungry, a bully with a handful of dismissed complaints. But this? Locking a pregnant woman in a shed? It was madness, and it was personal. Deputies Harris and Lee beat him to the scene, their patrol cars skidding to a stop near the bins. Margaret stood 20 feet from the shed, live streaming on her phone, her voice shrill. "Taking back our neighborhood from rule breakers," she declared, oblivious to the flashing lights. This trespasser refused to identify herself and was detained lawfully until authorities arrived. "Ma'am, put the phone down." Deputy Harris shouted, hand near his holster. Deputy Lee flanked her, eyes sharp. Margaret lowered the phone, annoyed, as if they were interrupting her show. "Officers, she's in there trespassing. I secured the scene." Tom ignored her, his focus on the padlocked shed. "Bolt cutters," he yelled. Lee grabbed them, and the steel jaws snapped the lock with a clang that echoed like a gunshot. Tom yanked the door open, and his heart stopped. Emily was slumped against the wall, pale, sweating, clutching her belly. Her breaths were shallow, her eyes wide with pain and fear. "Tom," she whispered, "the baby. It hurts." "I'm here," he said, kneeling beside her, voice soft despite the adrenaline. "Paramedics are coming. Just breathe." As medics rushed in, checking her vitals and the baby's heartbeat, Tom stood, his gaze locking on Margaret. She was cuffed now, still ranting about rules. "Secure her phone," Tom ordered Harris, his voice low, lethal. Then he spotted Ida's security camera in the shed's corner. "Harris, get HOA President Sullivan on the phone. I need access to that camera's footage, last 24 hours. Tell him it's Captain Reynolds, and refusal means a warrant." Sullivan, flustered, coughed up the login credentials. On Harris's laptop, the footage played. It showed Emily sorting recycling, Margaret's aggressive approach, the shove, the door slamming, the padlock clicking shut. But there was more. Margaret unlocked the door briefly, reached for the camera, and relocked it. She'd taken the SD card. She knew about the camera, Tom muttered, fury rising. "Keep going back. Check the logs." The system revealed a pattern. 3 months ago, Margaret locked a teenage girl in the shed for an hour over a lawn shortcut. 6 months back, a delivery driver was trapped for speeding. A year ago, a woman with a dog was confined for 30 minutes. Margaret wasn't just a tyrant, she was a predator, using the shed as her personal jail. How had this gone unchecked? Fear? Intimidation? "Book her," Tom said, voice flat. "Felony kidnapping, felony assault, false imprisonment, 3 counts from the footage. EVY Denke tampering. resisting if she fights. Emily was rushed to the hospital, where doctors fought to stop premature contractions triggered by the ordeal. After agonizing hours, she and the baby were stable, though she'd need bed rest. Tom's relief was overshadowed by rage at Margaret's cruelty and the HOA's negligence. The investigation widened. Detectives grilled Sullivan, who downplayed Margaret's actions as overzealous. But when shown the footage, he stammered, citing legal counsel. Records showed he'd dismissed prior complaints about Margaret without re-VYEW. Her arraignment was tense. Her lawyer argued for bail, calling it a misunderstanding. The prosecutor fired back, detailing Emily's medical emergency, the fetal distress, and the prior imprisonments. "This isn't a volunteer gone astray," he said. "It's a pattern of calculated cruelty. She targeted a pregnant woman, tampered with EVY Denke, and poses a clear danger." The judge, stone-faced, denied bail. Margaret's defiance crumbled as she was cuffed and led away. Willow Creek reeled. Residents demanded the HOA board's resignation, audits, and state oversight. Lawsuits loomed, not just from Tom and Emily, but from past VY Tims now speaking out. At trial, the prosecution leaned on the archived footage, Emily's testimony, and medical reports. The defense, hampered by the missing SD card, claimed the shove was accidental, the lockup a panic move. Doubt lingered until a bombshell. A forensic tech, Clara Mendoza, found a cloud backup on the camera's system, untouched by Margaret's tampering. The courtroom hushed as the high-definition VY Deo played. Margaret's fury, the VY Olent shove, Emily's fall, the padlocks click. It caught Margaret Remo VY in the SD card, her words venomous. Logs also showed Sullivan trying to delete the cloud files post-arrest, a failed attempt that proved his guilt. The jury's verdict was swift, guilty on all counts. Margaret got 15 years, the judge citing her remorseless cruelty. Sullivan took a plea jail, fines, and a ban from HOA roles. Emily, after weeks of bed rest, gave birth to a healthy girl. The trauma lingered, but support from Tom, neighbors, and even strangers helped her heal. Tom returned to work, his fight against abuse now personal. The shed got a new lock, openable from inside, its camera a silent sentinel. Willow Creek began rebuilding, tearing down the systems that let Margaret's tyranny fester, chasing the hope of becoming a true sanctuary.